For those of you uninformed, this is the Spirit of the Forest Tower in BTD6. For those extremely uninformed, BTD6 is a tower defense game about stopping an army of balloons from reaching the exit using monkeys with special abilities of varying ethicality. The Spirit of the Forest is a very solid tower featuring the abilities to coat the entire balloon path in damaging brambles, deal good damage up close, and generate money. I'm going to be focusing on the first ability I mentioned, the brambles. The ability for them to cover the entire balloon path gives them the interesting quirk of varying usefulness based on map. For instance, something like logs will allow the Spirit of the Forest to cover a lot more ground than something like ouch. But what about these intersections here? The more observant among you may have noticed that the brambles can actually stack over each other at intersections. So clearly, Spirit of the Forest would be better on maps with more intersections. This is a great discovery. It almost makes you wonder what would happen if entire strips of the track would overlap each other. Well, my friend, this is where the fun begins. This map's like 4 circles, resort, and dark castle where tracks converge for a good stretch, but we can go bigger. Some maps like Flooded Valley and Haunted have their entire track double layered because balloons come from both sides. So we've established that balloons coming from multiple entrances and large overlaps of track are good for Spirit of the Forest. So what if there was a map that had, I don't know, 8 whole paths which converged in a largely overlapping area of track? Enter Balance. This map, although seemingly only having 2 entrances, technically has 8 different paths because of how they split, and this results in 8 whole stacks of brambles. Not only that, but the balloons also loop around the center 3 whole times. This adds to how many bramble stacks are in the area. Multiply 3 by 8 and you get a whopping 24 layers of bramble stacks in this area, and it shows. This unholy pile of vines is able to handle an infinite flow of anything under ZOMGs due to their unique feature of infinite pierce. And there it was, my masterpiece, the almighty grass strat. But wait, that clip of logs I showed earlier had the Spirit of the Forest killing DDTs with 100% consistency. And yet it can't do the same on balance. The map with an area of whopping 24 full damage bramble stack. What's going on here? There's no way logs is actually so long that it matches the stacking power of balance, right? It was at this point in my experimentation that I realized the unfortunate truth. Stacking brambles doesn't actually deal more damage. Because it's contact-based damage, the brambles basically give the balloons invincibility frames every time they deal damage. So it doesn't matter if there's 1 bramble on a spot or 1,000. Only 1 will deal damage until the next tick. So why am I even making this video if the strat is completely bust? Well, it's at this point that I use my knowledge of monkeys to remember a piece of monkey knowledge. Vine rupture. With this ability, all vines on the track will burst, dealing damage and even stunning. This ability, unlike the natural damage taking of brambles, does actually stack for as many brambles are nearby. No invincibility strings attached. So, while balance may not offer the blender I wanted, it offered something else, an ability with more popping power than the actual nuke monkey I used for a one-off joke earlier. Try as technology might, it seems Mother Nature will always win, as this ability is easily enough to deal tens of thousands of damage compared to the Sarbomba's measly 3,000. Watch as it nearly insta-kills this bat after the druid got a chance to chip away at it a few times. Here you can even see the tower soloing a full fortified bat using 2 of the abilities. Watch it completely screen wipe these ZOMGs. This ability is very powerful. So, if you want to employ this strategy yourself for anything other than chimps, I definitely recommend using Oben and Energizer for their cooldown reductions, and various stalls to pump out as many of these nature nukes as possible.